Hey, I'm Dr. David Krohse from Moines Chiropractic, and all this month we're asking our patients to write down the book they're most thankful for. People are coming through with amazing books, and so if you're watching this right now, I'd ask you to share a book that you're most thankful for with us. But today I wanted to share the relationship book that I'm most thankful for. So the book is called The 5 Love Languages. It's by Gary Chapman, and essentially this book explains that there are 5 main ways that you can show and receive love. So the 5 love languages are physical touch, which the book emphasizes everything from hand-holding to sex, quality time, words of affirmation, so actually verbally or written, hearing what somebody appreciates about you, and then acts of service. So some people show love by taking out the garbage or changing the oil in the car. And then gift giving, which the book would emphasize everything from little gifts to all the way up to bigger gifts. And what the book explains is that each person has love languages that they use most naturally to show love to other people. And then each person has certain love languages that they need to be spoken to through in order to feel fulfilled and loved by whoever they're with. And so when people have different love languages, it can cause some little breakdowns in relationships that can turn into big deals. And so my wife and I, we're a good example of having different love languages. So this is Val here. This is when we got married down in Costa Rica. But Val's, well, so first off, my main love language is quality time. Spending time with somebody, doing an activity together is my main love language. Val's not really a quality time person. She's the first girl that I've ever dated that made me the needy one in the relationship. And she doesn't need a ton of time. Her main love language is actually gift giving, and then also acts of service is a pretty high love language for her. And so this kind of caused some problems when it kind of caused a funny situation when we were first dating. So we started dating, and we'd do these Friday nights where we'd get together and have dinner. And if I was hosting, I'd say, come on over at 5:30 and we'll cook together and then sit down and eat dinner together. And if it was Val's turn to host, she'd say, yeah, come on over at 6:30, and I'd get there and she'd have had this entire meal all prepared, and I'd sit down and she'd present it to me. And so the best part of those evenings, the best part of dinner together is cooking a meal together. And so there was this period of time that I was like, I wonder why she doesn't have me come over and cook with her. What's going on there? So then there's this Friday night, and it was my turn to host. And so I said, Val, come on over at 5:30, we'll cook together and then sit down and have dinner together. And Val said, David, I've been preparing these really nice meals for you, and when you want to host, it's like you just want me to come over and do half the work. And I was like, what? I was like, Val, the best part of the evening for me is when we cook together. I'm like, the quality time. And I was like, we just aren't seeing eye to eye on this. So, but again, Val, her love language is gift giving and acts of service. And so that's how she was showing me love. And again, she's not as much of a quality time person. So it's kind of funny. Once we learn that about each other, we understand. She knows that I enjoy cooking together, and I know that I should be getting her gifts or preparing her a nice meal periodically to make sure that she knows that she's loved. And when she gets gifts for me or she creates a really nice meal, I'm very gracious and grateful that she shows love to me through that way. Another one from my family, my dad, Dale, he's a very typical engineer and very practical guy. And he ended up with 3 kids, my sister, my brother, and I. We all kind of have a romantic side. And so we'd be like, Dad, get mom some gifts, do something special for her. And my dad, Dale, he's like, well, flowers, why would I get flowers? They die. And we're kind of like, Dad, come on, step up. So my dad is not big on gift giving. He's medium on words of affirmation and quality time and physical touch. He gives a great hug, and he definitely spent a lot of time with our family doing quality activities, camping, fishing, took me hunting. But once I read this book, I looked at my dad and I realized that his love language is acts of service. And the thing about my dad is, if you just looked at him through the lens of gift giving, he'd kind of look like a rust bucket. But when you realize that the way that he shows love is through acts of service, you all of a sudden realize that my dad looks like a knight in shining armor. He would do anything for our family, and he would do anything for our mom. And so, I mean, I think the world of him, but once you understand his love language, you can see what an amazing guy and what an amazing husband he is. Now, the kind of funny thing with my dad, he went to this men's group at his church, and they actually had to read the love languages book. And you know, an engineer might not understand why you'd get flowers, but engineers do get efficiency. And so my dad read that book, and he started doing better at getting my mom gifts and just making sure that he was doing my mom's love languages. So really cool that way. Probably the most typical love language fail is that there'd be a busy couple. They have different needs. So Sue's top love language is quality time, and John's top need is physical touch. Everything's going great at first, but let's say they get married, they've been together a while, and they get really busy. Maybe they have kids in the picture. And so John, they're not really setting aside time for quality time. And so Sue starts to feel unloved. Then when they have this little bit of time, John thinks that they should be heading into the bedroom and getting it on. And so Sue feels unloved and used, so she pulls away physically. And then John, he feels unloved because she doesn't want to be physical with him. And that relationship would be in a downward spiral toward failure because neither person feels loved. And so what we'd explain is that once you understand these love languages, you can apply just some basic goal setting. And it doesn't sound very spontaneous, but in a busy world, you know, people have kids, they have jobs, they have, you know, they're trying to go to Farrell's at 4:30 in the morning. You know, this is something that can keep a couple's love going. So John and Sue set aside a date night each week where they do an activity together, and then they make a plan for a weekly Sunday morning romantic rendezvous. And as a result, both feel loved and fulfilled. And that's the kind of strategy that once you understand each other's love language, you can make sure that the person that you're with feels loved, and you can clearly communicate to them what you need to feel loved by them. And so this is just the best book. I couldn't recommend it high enough. The book that I'm most thankful for, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. So again, if you're watching right now, share the book that you're most thankful for. Maybe it's a personal growth book or something that talks about relationships, or share with me your favorite fiction book. The list that we've gotten is amazing, and ultimately we'll be publishing the list that we got from all our patients. So make sure to follow our page, Compass Chiropractic, so you get these Facebook Lives and get to see the full list of books that were recommended. Other than that, we're down here in the southeast corner of Clive and just north of Windsor Heights Walmart and Sam's Club. And if you have any chiropractic needs, reach out to us and we'll find a time to get you in as soon as possible. So thanks for listening.